So let's talk about casting Scandinavian shooting heads. It's gonna be summer steelhead season, kind of is, and a lot of guys opt for Scandi lines for fishing for summer steelhead, you know, before the sun's on the water and you're using floating lines and small flies or whatever, so you want to fish Scandi. Do not be intimidated by Scandi lines. Scandi lines are not long lines. They're just not. They're short. So if you put a 23-foot Skagit head and a 12-foot sink tip, that's going to be about 35 feet. The compact Scandi, like the Airflow Compact Scandi or the Beulah Elixir V2 Scandi, Rio makes one. You could go with Rio, Beulah, or any Scandi line properly is going to be about 33 feet for underhand casting. It's going to be really short. You can't be intimidated. Your leader's probably going to be longer, 12, 15 feet, 7 feet. All fishermen do it all different ways. Do not be intimidated by Scandi heads whatsoever. They're the easiest line there is to cast. So do not be intimidated by Scandi shooting heads. You don't want to just get the Rio Scandi body because that needs a tip. So if you get the Rio Scandi body, you need a floating tip or a sink tip to make that the proper 31 to 33 foot length, okay? So don't be intimidated. If you want one, get one. They're wonderful. They don't do as great in the wind as a Skagit, in my opinion. Well, I just don't use them in the wind, so, because I gave up on them. You'd have to have a, you know, a sinking one or a modified one to really handle the wind. But if you put a floating poly leader on a Scandi head and think it's gonna bust the wind for you, it's just not. I've tried really hard and man, it's tough. You want a sink tip on there to really cut through the wind, and when you put a sink tip on a Scandi, it might make it a little harder for you because then it does become longer. So if you want to cast Scandi lines, and so far you've just Skagit casted, it is not a huge difference other than it's a lot more finesse. You can sweep really lightly. You can do everything with a little less effort, because if you get too crazy, you're going to be blowing anchors. So, but you can still do the same cast. You can still do the same waterborne cast. You can still do a circle cast or a snap T. You know, use waterborne cast. You don't have to go to touch and go, but you certainly can work it in. But don't be intimidated. The best way to do a Scandi, you know, if you really want to get line speed, you do it, you know, you can really rip your peel. I know people don't like it because they think it scares the fish, but and it might, but not that big a deal for big western rivers and steelhead that aren't there. So, but the thing you want to do with your Scandi line, if you're going to use waterborne casts, is keep your peel kind of fast and flat. And then after you peel it, you peel to here, okay? And you want to do that smooth and low, okay? And then when you cast, so you're sweeping fast and flat. And then when you get to here, you don't want to do a big production like this. You want to keep everything right low, okay? Keep your rod canted out, peel, and just do, instead of a full-fledged drift, just do a little U-turn, right? Peel, cast. heel cast, okay? You can use continuous motion. That works really good, to just use continuous motion, or you just, however you do it, you want to keep tension in the system, and you do that by sweeping fast, casting before you lose the tension, which is kind of Edward style casting with the Scandi line, because Skagit casting kind of grew out of underhand casting, a lot of the same principles. So it's really fun to you can develop a lot of line speed with these Scandi lines doing waterborne casts. Super fun, super fun. You can cast, you don't need a different rod. You can do all the same stuff with a Scandi head. Here's a tip. Rio spey line recommendations. Do a Google search for 2019, 2021. There's spey line recommendations for 2019, 2021, older spey rod recommendations. If you search those, you will get a general idea, if you study the charts, of the basic grain weights for your rod. It's just a ballpark, but it gives you an idea. So if I'm casting a 500 grain Skagit, I might go with a 425 or 400 Scandi or whatever. This rod likes 575 for Skagit, and for Scandi I've got 425, and I could probably go to 400. You know, guys say, well, it could go heavier, but I would go lighter. Lighter is way more fun. You know, you want your D-loop and your tension to help you load the rod, not just always the weight of the line. Oh, I suck so bad cack-handed. That's all I got, cack-handed. May be here tomorrow. Yeah, I hear you there.